I am Linda Dove, and I am the hostess for today. I am the Executive Director for Learning Services with Meteor Education, and also wear a second hat as Chief Academic Officer for the Center of College and Career Readiness. And we're so excited that you're with us for these next few minutes. Today, our topic is creating learning spaces at home for authentic learning. And I want to introduce you to our two wonderful speakers. And while I'm doing that, go to your chat box and just kind of tell us where you're from. What part of the country are you from? Because we'd like to learn more about you. But we have two dynamic, awesome, wonderful presenters today that I'm really excited to have chat with you. First, Pam Gashler. And Pam Gashler is an educator, and she's also an instructional designer in learning services with Meteor. And then also has done a lot of work at the center. And then with us also is incredible Kelly Elmer, who is an educator and also done a lot with space design and is one of our consultants through the center and has lots of experience with learning environments as an educator. So I think you're going to gain some great hints and tips today, and I'm looking forward to learning a lot myself. So I'm going to turn it over to these two lovely ladies.
Thank you, Linda. Kelly, I'm going to ask you to get us started. Where do teachers and parents, where do we start?
So, it's hard enough working from home when you don't have to, but in these uncertain times, we've got kids working at home on school of all ages and parents working from home. So we thought it would be best just if we could help give some tips and tricks about learning, figuring out what you need to set up your home environment, no matter what age of a learner you are. And these are some basic things that, that would help you with your focus. One, how do you learn best? Do you need to be in a small environment? Do you need to be sitting up learning? Do you like to lay around on the floor and lounge? Do you like a little cubby? Do you like it quiet? Do you need headphones to be quiet, to be extra quiet around you? Do you like to listen to music? And then where do you learn best? Do you like to be confined in a small area? Do you like to spread out all over the floor? Do you need a desk? Do you need a couch? Do you like to sit around the wall, against the wall? And what types of materials do you need for both the academic piece plus social emotional, snacks and things like that? So we're going to break down all of these for you to give you some tips and tricks along the way. So these are, if you're not familiar with them, these are classroom learning spaces that many educators, I've used them for many years, place in their classroom. There's the campfire where the learners sit together and you learn from each other. There's the watering hole where you're in more smaller groups. The cave is one of my favorites where you want to be alone and you really want to concentrate and just be by yourself. Or the swamp, which is when you're stuck with situations and you want to problem solve and work through things, but you need some help. And then the plains is just usually when everybody spreads out and works by themselves. So we have those areas, and they can be used throughout the home, your home, wherever you are, and they can help you just become a better learner and get along with the needs that you have. Okay, so Pam, I think the first one is caves. So how can you use this in a learning space in your home?
Well, I've actually been very lucky this last month. I have a granddaughter that needs a place to go. She's a kindergartner. So she comes here every Tuesday and Thursday, and her parents send her little work with her, and I do my best to do my job and to support her as well. So I got to try these tips and tricks with her and ask her where she learns and how she learns. And so that was really a great experience for me. And then I could pass it on to my child as well. She learns best sitting on the floor, and she also informed me I have no flexible seat. So I made sure and pointed that out here. So
you're learning from her.
Organizing my space now much better. So when I thought about this and how do we help kids that are at home, and there may be multiple kids at home, so they might need their space because this is that place to reflect, to think, to process. Okay, so let's think about our home and the different places you have. Think about creating maybe a little nook in a corner by just throwing a couple pillows back there. They can sit back there and read and reflect, or grab a type of a writing surface that they can write on if they have the workbook packets. Maybe even something like, you'll see up here, we put a few visuals, which is why we're using a slide deck to give you guys some ideas. Here's just like what we would call, Kelly and I, when we were in the classrooms, we called them more like, privacy or study corrals, or, this is just a box cut, and it provides privacy. So if your child needs to work and to think, that's a great way, because other people are moving throughout the house. So think about something simple like that, or headphones. Maybe even think about your outside spaces as the weather's getting nice. Not where Kelly and I live, but it is getting nice.
Yeah, we've got snow.
Yes, we're having snow. But it is getting nice across the country. So think about sitting in the yard, getting out a lawn chair, sitting on your porch, or maybe even walking to your favorite park to read. In one of my schools that I work with in Southern California, the middle school teacher took her students every week to go read on the football field, because it's so beautiful, and the fresh air and what that does for kids, and allows them the time to absorb the environment and reflect and read their books. So that, we can do that. We can do that in these crazy times. This is a picture of Kelly's classroom, actually. She had a tent set up inside for a variety of lessons, right, Kelly?
I did. Yeah, I wanted to create a different space, and they just thought that was the most unique thing. So a tent served the purpose.
And as we were talking about that, and she had that in her room, but many of you may have a tent at home. Set it up outside. Let them go out there. Make it another space for kids to go, perhaps process information. The old school, let's make a fort with a couple chairs and a blanket, snug under there. Or even if you need to, you can also, move your furniture to kind of create little nooks and places throughout your home. For just a few examples, if any of you have any other examples of things you can think of in your own home or in a friend's home, or you've heard some ideas of ways we can create caves, go ahead and put those in the chat. I think this is a great way for us to gain more ideas from one another. So if you'd like, add that to the chat.
Tip furniture over, turn a chair sideways, tip a small end table or a coffee table, sideways, put a blanket over it.
Right. I brought out a rocker chair, those computer, gamer chairs. So I told Aaliyah that's her flexible seating. And I also got a little ottoman off the patio and said, here you go. So I am set over here. So, but think of all the pieces you have around your house. So
repurposing the furniture for different reasons. Right.
Another zone that I'm going to give you a few ideas was the campfire. So the campfire is really a time and a space that you come together and you talk about stories, old traditional, storytelling, or even the sharing of your feelings and the sharing of information. How are you learning today? What was something you learned today? Tell me something that inspires you, engages you. So these are all great reasons to come together. So visualize a campfire and sitting around, at least being able to see each other face to face, neat kind of a concept. So if you have a fire pit or something like that, think about using it for a place to really tell stories and have conversations. And use the kitchen table. Let's all sit around the kitchen table and share our thoughts, or do our social and emotional check-in for the day. How are we all feeling? And it's okay. It's a great way to check in. And I know, Kelly, we've talked a lot about this. This is important for kids and for parents to also share.
Social emotional need, definitely. When, how are you feeling? Let's do a temperature check. Are you 98? Are you feeling good? Are you 100? You could do a paper thermometer and put the different zones in it, like yellow, red, and green, and how are you feeling? And I'm feeling green right now at the moment because I had a great day talking to my teacher online, or I'm red because I don't like having to do that essay, or I'm stuck. So that emotional need is really wonderful to connect and make sure that everybody's being heard. Definitely, yeah.
So our new campfire, as we know it today, is also meeting virtually online with your class. So this is a great way to connect and to share. And if you need to think about that beyond students, but maybe small teams, like maybe you're on the middle school baseball team, connect. Maybe you're in a high school swim group. So think about those groups of children that you're already interacting with, and how can we connect them and keep them connected even virtually. So we're going to share a couple more zones with you today, because we've got a lot of good brainstorming ideas for you to use at home. So Kelly, what about a swamp?
I love the swamp. It's when you're stuck, whether it's a good stuck or a bad stuck, whether it's emotional, you're just stuck and you can't get out of where you're feeling, or if it's an academic stuck, you want help. And that could be with any of your family members. It could be with your teacher. It could be with your siblings. So we've got some ideas of what do you do, because you need to get your voice heard. So you could leave a note on the refrigerator, as you see that cute little icon there. Write down what you need help with. Even if you don't know what you want help with, you could just write, I would just write, Kelly, help, because I might not be able to figure it out. But if I post that on the refrigerator, on a wall, I could post it next to my little place where I'm learning, my little nook, and mom and dad might come around and check. You know, oh, Kelly's left a Post-it note outside here. She needs some help. You could color code those Post-it notes too, red or pink. I need help right now, right now. And I could go run and put it on mom's desk and then go back to my spot if I need help. Green,
I like your color coding idea, Kelly, because if you have multiple kids at home, that's really great. Not just having to recognize their penmanship, but that you always know I'm a green or I'm a, yeah, that's a good idea.
And even if I can't explain why, at least I can say, well, I'll let you know I'm red right now or I'm yellow, but I might be getting better. The WIN notebook is wonderful. This is used in a lot of schools, that what I need, academic or emotional, whether it's a sticky note, or in this case, it's a little notebook where it could be a little bitty spiral thing too, or a composition book, or just paper stapled together. This is what I need. You put the date down. I need more time for this assignment. I need to talk to my teacher. I need to play games with mom for half an hour. I miss mom. She's been working so hard lately. I need an extra hug. So those WIN notebooks are wonderful. Message on the dry erase board. This is fun too if you have just even notebook paper, or the big calendars that you can put on desks that you can laminate, cover with contact paper. Excuse me. Just leaving a note. So that addresses a lot of the emotional needs. And then tutoring. The items we have up here, Khan Academy, IXL, Brain Pop, these are all tutoring. They're not face-to-face talking to you, but they are tutoring programs online to help students with whatever their needs are. But there's also the idea of the peer tutor, the face-to-face. Let me connect with my teacher. Let me talk to my friend, virtually who's really good at math that can help me with this. So you've got the online things as well as the peer tutors, the face-to-face. So lots of different ways to think about reaching out to get unstuck if you're stuck. So, and then the next one, I love this one too.
Me too.
We need times to move around and interact and get creative, and we've got lots of ideas here, and they can help you problem solve. When you can do things and recreate and get physical with manipulatives and working things out, your brain will interact. Your right side, which is more of the creative side of your brain, will interact and help you to puzzle through things better and to problem solve. So we've got pictures of great Legos up there. If you can leave them in a corner on the somewhere in the room, materials that you can build with, all those old things that we usually put in the recycle bin, you might want to keep for a whole while because you could create things with them. A sewing machine, the STEM maker space, the ideas of going online there are so many websites out there to create things and solve things and be involved in items. Textiles, manipulatives, fabrics. Now get out a sewing machine or sew by hand. You can create things, create a doll, create whatever you need to help you feel better. And then there's the technology, which is huge too. The cameras and the 3D printers and robotics and the iPad. And not everybody has these at home, but if you do, or any of these combination of things, they're a great tool to problem solve and process. And then the last one, we think about woodworking tools and materials, building, cutting, hammering, just, even if you just need to to hammer a nail into a piece of wood or a balsa wood just to relax. And then Linda, I asked you the other day, but I don't remember, why is there that picture at the bottom corner?
Yes.
What is that?
Okay, so the picture at the bottom is a garage. Because when you're thinking about these types of creative spaces, they're usually projects that you don't finish in 2 hours. And so if you took up the kitchen table, how are we going to eat dinner? And I leave all my stuff out, and my siblings are here, a little sibling, and then, or I share a room, you know, the variety of family situations. So one of the tips is thinking about a space that you can leave it out. Maybe there is a space in the garage. There's a little corner, or maybe somebody in your family has a little workbench already, and you can clear that off and kind of really create that as an activity or creative zone. So
that's great. That's acknowledging that need too, and that's sharing the space, and that addresses a social emotional connection as well. That's a great idea. I love that. Well, there's one more area, and particularly at this time of year with the social distancing and the need for all of us to have our voices heard, and it's called the mountaintop. So can you explain that?
A mountaintop in schools is kids are presenting and they're creating videos and sharing them, use of technology. But now we're at home. So how do we still let kids share what they know, share what they've created, share their passions? So maybe a good way, but I'm not that familiar with all of these tools, but our students sure are. So I have used like Flipgrid and Instagram, but I am new to TikTok. So, but just those kinds of apps where they can get it out there. I have and still use Class Padlets.
I love that.
Yeah, it's a place to, you know, share, and kids can contribute and post things back. So and free to educators, so and safe, because I can lock it to my class. So that's a good one to think about. Also visit with your teachers, or teachers if you have like class web pages. Is there a spot on there where students can post and share their work and their passions and their voice, letting their voice be heard? Podcasts and blogs are always a very common medium for letting kids share out their message. There's the last little tip I want to share. There's a school, actually nearby me, that is continuing their school news channel. They're just doing it virtually. So the principal still gets on and does an announcement, and the kids get on and share about weather and upcoming things and positive things to think about. And so they're still sharing, they're just doing it virtually, and they're doing it the day before, not the day of. So they're doing it the day before and then posting it and sharing it out to all of the students in the district. So we're really still seeing kids be able to share, contribute, and be a part of a team. If you're not familiar with green screens, there's a lot of ways to get a green screen, basic green material, green paint. There's even a group, when I was doing a little searching, they're using pizza boxes, and they taped pizza boxes together and made them green. And then they just set it up behind them. So they didn't need like, you know, a whole body. They just needed a space behind them so they could still do some interviews. So think about your students and do they need that? And your children, do they need that? So a mountaintop, letting our voice be heard.
Yeah, just that connecting is so important, to know that they're not alone, you know, especially when they're missing friends, and being able to communicate, you know, maybe they can even just connect via FaceTime on their phone and say, hey, let's do jumping jacks right now. Let's, you know.
Right.
Anything like that.
Excellent. We're probably all wondering, oh my gosh, now I have all their materials. How do I organize this all at home? And I have 3 kids at home, so how do I do this? Kelly and I brainstormed some ideas. And again, if you guys have ideas for these, please post them in the chat, because there's a lot of different ideas out there. I'm going to show you the visuals that we selected. This is a shoe organizer. And if you have a Dollar Tree close by, you can pick one up for $1, because you're really just wanting a Dollar Tree kind of place. You're just really wanting to house materials. Maybe it really is your markers, your pens, tape, dry erase markers, and the little socks to wipe them off. So think about using things like that. They usually hang behind the door, and kids can easily get all of their materials. There's caddies. There's a variety of caddies. But thinking about those shared resources, again, if you have 3 kids, oh, what can I put in this shared caddy? And I can bring this out every day to help them through their lessons today. So like a shared caddy. These are very popular at my home. We have lots.
I had them in my classroom too. Yep, yep, yep.
Lots of storage bins. So
dollar bins.
That's right. So think about bringing things like that out, recycling some of their items, using those now for school materials, as well as maybe you have a file cabinet, you can clear that out, or you have an extra drawer at home, or even a cabinet like at the end of the hallway or in the bathroom or wherever in the garage. Think about those spaces and how could we maybe reposition them to organize all the materials that kids need today. They probably came home with their backpacks, or hopefully came home with their backpacks. So don't forget about using those spaces, maybe even a pillowcase. Kelly, I loved that idea when you shared that, a sports bag, just some place that they can keep their materials. But a key piece of the materials is not only being organized, but thinking about what's shared and what's individual. And then allowing your child or your students to also contribute and help plan this out, because maybe they need it a certain way so they can access it, use it. Like I said, my granddaughter's here. I just pulled out a bucket with a lid, you know, it has like an old filing cabinet, little bucket, and it has a lid, and I have all of her things in there. And if she wants to be downstairs, we go there. If it's up here at the kitchen table, I just move it around to fit her needs. So it's really finding that fit for your children and your students. Kelly, you had a couple more ideas that we didn't put in.
Yes. So once they feel comfortable designing and figuring out what that looks like, they're more liable to do the work and get involved in the work. And these materials might also mean snacks too. You know, do I need to chew gum? Do I need mints? I keep mints in my desk here when I'm working. So whatever I can do to help my children feel comfortable. Maybe I set snacks out on the table and they know they can come and get them whenever they want. So that shared space as well as the individual space. Getting as much input from everybody will make it worthwhile. Definitely.
Well, great. Those are great ideas. I totally had forgotten about the mints, but at school, you're right. We do water and mints. Mint, you're right, reactivates our brain and, you know, gets us thinking. Thank you for the reminder. I will use that. Well, we are at the end of our information to share out today in this little bit of time, but we appreciate you guys taking time to spend with us and to get some more ideas. And hopefully these are things that help your family as you do online and homeschooling. So.